What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, class swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling better than the market. He says so much for an inside day. Yeah, that kind of went out the window with the jobs report. But we got Albert in the house. We got Amy. Good morning to you. We got Anna. Good morning. We got Andy, Brian, Cheryl. Good morning to Corey, Diane, Jay, Jeff, Joe, Kevin, Matthew. We got Tim in the house. Vidrin. Good morning. We got Wendy, Zayad. Good morning to you as well. All my people out in Cash for Houses. Is that that's Hector, I think. Is that Hector? What's up? What's going on, Cash for Houses? We got all my lurkers in the background of YouTube not saying anything. That's okay. I still love you. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. But Matthew says, when did the jobs report come out? Was that today was the unemployment numbers, yes. And the unemployment numbers rose. I think we're jumping the gun a little bit, but there was obviously some weakness from the earnings that came in last night. So we will see. It is Hector. What's up, buddy? It's been a minute. It's been a minute, Hector. But yeah, so we have a little bit of weak earnings. I mean, Apple was okay out of like all of the earnings, and it wasn't great. It was just probably okay for Apple. The rest of them kind of got a little bit more to the beat up side. I think DraftKings was decent too, but then they came in with some numbers and or they have some states kind of increasing their taxes, so they're trying to battle that, and they have maybe some fees on some winning bets, and I don't think sentiment was too good. And then other companies that did report pretty decent numbers, their forecasting guidance was a little bit to the lower side. So you're starting to see a little bit of a crack from some of the earnings. Again, it's just one quarter. The market has to dip if you're going to buy the dip. Otherwise, there's no dips to buy. So in the long term, it's okay. But then we get the double whammy today, which we remember Jerome Powell speaking on Wednesday, not too long ago. It feels like 2 years ago at this point. The way this market has been just going crazy. It feels like a lot has happened since Jerome Powell, but it's only been 2 days. Not even, less than. But his big thing is, okay, we think we got a good handle on inflation, and we would like to see the unemployment numbers kind of just stay the same. And we're going to see if we could get that quarter point probably in September. Now that you have a couple more data sets, and again, I wouldn't put too much weight on just this one report. He even said he's like, we're pretty much there. We're pretty much there for the rate cut. Now the question is, and kind of the detriment to what some of these numbers are, especially if they do continue and we start getting increased unemployment. The bigger problem is the economy really the issue now? Like, did we wait too long? Should he have done a rate cut? And now I think the odds for maybe a 50-point cut could actually be on the table for September, especially if these numbers continue. If the next couple data points come out and it was just a blip and okay, unemployment's kind of still coming down and not a big deal, we're leaning back to the 25-point base hike. So now what the market's trying to do is just kind of figure out what the real odds are, what the percentage is, and kind of rebalance to where it's at. So we just hit all-time highs not too long ago. This is gonna be a crime. So if you guys want to call the police already, I get it. We're gonna pull up the monthly chart for this month, even though we've had one day. Today's gonna be day 2. So, but right now we have a little bit of a bearish engulfing candle, at least from open to close of July. We are below July's lows. If we're really pulling, like we want to zoom out, again, we've been saying this for a while. I think we're still in a bullish market. I mean, it's hard to argue we're not in a bullish market. But I think it's good to look at signs of like, okay, where's an actual pullback? So even if you convert this in your mind to make it easier, if you're a day trader and you're looking at 3-minute charts, 5-minute charts, daily charts, where would a good retest be? I have my imaginary line that we drew probably in 2020, or I don't know when that line got there, but we were gapping up above it. Now today is our first little crack. We pushed into this a couple times, and I think this line does come off of a fib, but now we're gapping back below that line. So longer term, can we get to this 522.74 and still be okay. Maybe we get a little bit below that, kind of coming to like 516, something to that range. Oh, can we still argue that we're bullish? I think so. Wendy says, "How did ExxonMobil do?" ExxonMobil did great. Yeah, their earnings were, I think, pretty fantastic. They did keep the divvies, so I think it was pretty solid. I think CVX did okay too. CVX reported. I think they did pretty fantastic. But so a lot of the companies, the numbers weren't that bad from what they reported. Honestly, even Amazon wasn't that bad. There was some sectors in their report that was like a little lower than you'd want, but then the guidance comes out, forecast comes out, and looking forward, things could be a little bit more rough. But I think ExxonMobil still pretty decent. But SPY, yeah, I think we could get down to this 523 zone, 521, somewhere in that zone, just kind of retesting that last time we broke out. We've never really retested that. And then if things actually feel like they're getting uglier and maybe we have some issues with the economy and that kind of persists, we didn't really come back ever to retest. We have a little bit of a double top, great little resistance up here, broke right through it. That's never been retested as well. So 459, 460, somewhere in that zone will be decent as well. But the monthly chart, again, if you're getting lost in the time frames, if you're getting lost in hey, this is now like this since the end of July, not I guess not the last 2 days, but everything leading up to the last 2 days, this little dip feels bad. Yesterday feels bad. Today's morning feels bad. Just sit back, put it in perspective. If you have a long term, I mean the long term is still wildly up for the year, but if this kind of feels, if you're in positions and they are pulling back, just take a deep breath. It's okay. Amazon did blame the Trump assassination and the Olympics for missing earnings. Yes, that's factual. That is factual. When you have to grab for straws, you have to grab for straws. Did I don't even know what sense. I guess they feel like that people weren't ordering on those days because they were just paying attention to other things, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, they did come out and blame Trump for the Trump assassination and the Olympics, the opening of the Olympics, not the actual games. It's the opening Olympics. I don't know. I don't know how you get there, but we're there. The bright side for today, at least, this is a big retest gap on the daily. We didn't quite hit this VPOC yet, so my level of support 534.42. We definitely closed the gap. Maybe we hit this level. Let me just see that level again one more time. 534.42. Let's put us on a 5 minute. Did we get down there? Five. We got into that zone. So pre-market we hit it. I would think resistance, the first one for today. We have some developing VPOCs, kind of pre-market. Look for this 537.17 range if you're looking to go kind of play the fade on this one. Maybe let some of the fear and panic out of the gate kind of disappear a little bit. If we get some of that gone, because I think emotions are probably a little bit higher today. I think you got a deep sell off, and now we're below July's month, and we might have some panic selling kind of right out of the gate. But this is a retest gap, and I do think we probably come back retest, whether that be today, whether that be tomorrow, Saturday, be impressive. Monday, we'll see. But I think ultimately we probably do something like this. And again, I don't know how the daily candles will look, but at this point with this gap down, most likely, unless we get some other news, I think we kind of come up here, we retest, and then we probably end up getting lower than today's low point to some extent. Probably get another bounce. We got the 100 coming in eventually. So yeah, could get a pullback. August could be a red month. The market's allowed to have red months. It's okay. Let's go to Qs. My wife has been ordering less on Amazon and it makes sense now. But your savings account has just been growing like crazy, Kevin. So that's good. That's good. In fact, stockpile some of that cash, and then there'll be another Amazon day. I think they said the Amazon day was the biggest that they've had in out of the 10 years doing it. So Amazon Prime Day still looking good. People still want to shop. I think they just want the deals. But we do have Q's with a little bit of a gap down. This is a retest gap. I'm not loving this location as much. So again, we said maybe a little panic selling out of the gate. But it does look like we have a lot more resistance above us than we do support below us. So maybe the first spot we're looking for, if we get a little bit of a pullback, 447.40. Otherwise, I think a really good support would be about 445 even for Qs. So again, maybe not as much of a retest here. We did say on the SPY it is a retest day, but maybe some just fear panic out of the gate causes this thing to drop, and then maybe a little bit later in the day we see some kind of reversal. But Qs would probably support that argument just based on where we're opening. Otherwise, it is a retest gap, and we do have a little bit more room to go down to the next support. So we will see. Yep, let me go through some of the tickers. I'm going to start backwards, but if you guys have got tickers, let me know. Otherwise, I missed a few of them that you guys were throwing out there. You're just saying DoorDash looks a little different. It is nice. This is how you have to. This is exactly how you have to have a bullish day. You have to miss your earnings per share by 309%. So if you want to be different, do different things. They did surprise beat on the revenue side of things by $90 million. So they did come in with 2.63 billion. Not bad there. Biggest concern, obviously, is that we are opening into a little bit of resistance. The good news, though, if you want to try to play this thing bullish, we probably get a little pullback. Look to see how probably about 117.19 holds. So you're not looking for a major pullback, but a small little candle to see if we get that breakout. And then I think the next target on this thing would take us into about 120. So we have a little bit of upside to go. Let me just see Finviz. What is the short float on this one? Dash for cash. Short float 4.58. So we're not gonna really we could get a little bit of that short squeeze in there. Nothing too crazy. But there is a ton of shorts. Anything from this initial gap down. Who said Dash is going out of business? So everybody from May 2nd in that bearish camp, they are trapped. There has been some bulls. We did have a little bit of a run up, so expect some kind of a pullback. But that would be my first spot to look. After that, see if we get down into like this 114.81 zone. Probably the market won't help. I mean, again, the tide raises all boats. It also lowers it. So the entire market's down. It's not we've seen this since really AMD. AMD was the first time we were like, okay, at least the AI story's back. At least we're not saying that everything's over bloated. We had the numbers to kind of support AMD, but they did not hold anything. So this is not the market, not now. Before it was a couple weeks ago, a couple months prior to that, buy every dip possible, didn't matter what. I don't think we're in that same market. So I would be cautious on going long. But you do have some decent amount of shorts being taken out. I would say if Dash reported 2 weeks ago, I'd be going pretty quickly at open in a bullish direction on it. We'll get that one up here a tad higher. All right, we got CLX. CLX is not sure when we set this one up. Clorox, yeah, we probably looked at this one in one of the swing rooms. We're almost at targets, though. That would be a concern for me. But this one does look a little bit different. The biggest resistance I see coming in at 139.68. So I think we have limited upside on this one. We also got that 200 on the daily. You could probably play the fade. I don't know if that's the direction I would lean on it. It does have earnings. It is a more stable-ish company where it doesn't do anything fun or exciting. But they did beat by on earnings per share. So a little different than Dash here. So Dash missed by 309%. Here we beat by 17, but we flipped on cash. So we came in 45 million less than expected. It's not going to be a sexy company. It's not going to be, we're starting to put AI in all our bleach cans. So it's not going to be one of those big runners, but in a time where you have to hoard some cash, get out of maybe some of the bigger tech names, the volatility names, get into something safe where maybe you could hang in there for a break even, hang in there for 1%, 2% gain while the rest of the market crashes. These are the type of the companies that would do it. But we do have a big resistance right above us. So if this one pulls back again, you can try to play the fade. I don't even know how much room you have to the fade. I don't think we fade all the way back, but 136.85. Otherwise, tight range. Let me see. I missed a few others. I know we were talking about Amazon, so let's pull that one up. Again, they would have had a great quarter if there wasn't a Trump assassination and the Olympics opened better. So, play that for how you guys want. I mean, that was two just rare events. Yeah, I don't know. When they said that, I was like, okay, I think that Rolodex of excuses are kind of we might be on the last page here. Got to fill in some excuses. But again, Prime Day was good. They are profitable now on the retail business. If you guys remember back in the 90s, the 2000s, pretty much up until recently, everyone's like, Amazon, they don't make any money because they just historically known for reinvesting into the company, growing out, building out infrastructure, building out the systems. And now we see the Amazon we see today. So, but we are actually profitable now on the retail side of things. AWS, I think, was a pretty decent report as well. Nonetheless, we are kind of gapping down a little bit. We are below the 200. This looks like a rough spot. I think Amazon has a little bit more room to go. It's a big gap. It is a retest gap as well. Yep. So retest gap, probably some shorts being taken out. You have one level of support. That's going to take us to about 166.58. And then after that, we have on the way up, I think we could probably get a close somewhere close or at least touch 172.53 today. Maybe I'm wrong, but the bigger spot we got to get through is right here. This 169.92. That's going to take us into a couple zones of resistance. That also takes us to that 200 on the daily. So I think at some point we probably come in, we use that as some kind of resistance. If we get through that, then we could get up to that 172.53 zone somewhere to that extent. So we'll see what happens on that one. But I don't know if I'd be going short unless we start breaking this 166.45. Then look out below. I think we're closer to this 160.47 and maybe even a little range down to 157.56. But we will get Amazon higher on the list. We'll see how it wants to. We'll see what that initial reaction is, and then maybe if you're gonna try to fade it, see if it pulls back first, and then into that first resistance. Fade on Melly. Leonard wants to take a look at AMD. Leonard says always Trump's fault. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Melly has some earnings. Strong. Yeah. Came in with a surprise beat of 435 million. Then to the earnings per share side, really nice earnings beat. This is a gap and go from yesterday, so that looks good. Bullish. I think if you want to fade this one, Rick, you gotta wait a little bit more. I think you got to see a print into about 1746. That would be my attempt. Your stop is going to be somewhere about 1767. On a charting basis, there's a lot of reasons to be bullish. The numbers were good. You do have a good gap and go. Nice little long wick up here before we're getting above every spot that the Bears came in yesterday to try to push this thing down. They obviously succeeded yesterday. I almost want to stay bullish on this one. So I don't think I would play the fade if you do want to try to play this thing as a fade. And I'm nervous on the bull side because nothing has been holding. But again, I am kind of looking. I don't think right out of the gate. I think right out of the gate we probably continue to sell. We'll see. So we might get that little pullback. But I think at some point today, maybe 15 minutes into the market, 30 minutes into the market, I think we start to look to see, do we have good value somewhere? The market starts to kind of pull back for retest or shorts start to take some of the gains. And at that point, if the market wants to carry and we're leaning bullish, I don't think I'd want to be in this one bearish on the fade. But if you do want to try, it would probably have to be about $20 higher, I think, at minimum. Melly FDX we got. And then we'll pull up AMD after this. FedEx also retest gap into a little bit of support. See if the support where we're standing right now opens again. If we do have that little pressure to, I think longer term, be careful. This looks like a pretty nice head and shoulders. We do also have a wide open gap all the way back down to 255. I mean, I'm not calling that we get to 255 today, but that is a rough close that we had yesterday. We did close right into that 20 EMA. I wouldn't be surprised though if we have a little bit of a green candle here, even closing right into that 297.32 zone. But that would be my target on the fade for this one. I do think that the bulls have to do some work so that this does not start to break that downtrend, which we might be at right now. Let's see. Honestly, this is how I would draw my downtrend or my uptrend. My bad. So that was a close below it and getting this gap down. I think we got to come back and kind of retest some of this. What is this thing that blinks on my screen? It was like a little number that popped up for some reason. Yeah, right there. Oh, add text. Okay. But all that VPOC closes below all of that. The bulls tried. We did close this gap up here. So I think FedEx to the short side, a little bit longer term looks good. You might have that opportunity if we do get bought up. Even coming into this, if we do get into this 297 zone, you probably want to throw your stop somewhere up at 306 and then see if this thing kind of fades down a little bit longer term with some puts, short some shares, things like that. But Peter says, it's a fade today. Let's get paid. Yep. I would think the opening spot is at a little bit of support. There is that one below it. So again, if there is a little bit more fear and panic, the spot to really look to go long would be about $4 lower. So I'd still be cautious at open, see if we start holding any of those kind of supports. Otherwise, if we get down to 290.75, I would love to play the fade on that one. We will see AMD. AM Dizzle. Diana says, what's a fade? It's the opposite direction. It's the opposite direction. So if you have, of course, I'm on AMD. It's not a great example of it because I'm on the fade. But AMD has a little bit of a gap up, surprisingly, somehow. That VPOC to me did not close at any terrific spot whatsoever. I think we probably have a little bit lower to go. I think the way we saw, and I have a friend who's in AMD short, and he was in it since, I mean, he's been he's been a mess on it. He's doing it for fun more than anything, but he got in short at around 120, held through everything. They did start margin calling him on us. Now he's like, oh, these guys are scammers. They took my money. I'm like, well, you're in on margin, so yeah, that's gonna happen. So then now he's like, you think I should just sell here and buy back my shares here? I'm like, well, you're still buying back for a loss. Plus, they took your shares up much higher. I don't really see how we don't kind of hit this 120 zone at this point. I think we probably make our way down to 120 on AMD. I'm not seeing much volume in here. So for today, at least we have a little tiny bit of a gap up, which is different. Obviously, we're still at the very lower end. But maybe that could get us up to like this 136.80 zone. It'd be fantastic to try to short again. But we still have all that resistance above us. We're kind of in a no liquidity zone, or at least low liquidity zone. And then 120, 118. So not bad. We did run into this pivot. That would give some people like an opportunity to say, hey, all right. That was our previous resistance. We hit that. That's our support now. And I can see some people trying to buy this thing off support. Again, I think this thing does break. I think it comes lower. I don't really see much unless the market just flips by Monday. Who knows? But I am expecting a little bull move today and probably looking for 137, something like that. ARDX. ARDX. So Diana, let's see if this one's a good example. Not a great example either, but we'll just get creative real quick. So basically, if you have, let's say a gap down, let's say this is a gap down. It's not, obviously, but if we were opening here at 480, right? There's a lot of shorts in this thing already. You have this gap down. Those shorts probably want to take profit. So even though it's gapping down, you're probably trying to play that fade up higher. So you're fading whatever that gap was. You're kind of playing into the sentiment of the market and going with, okay, bears made some money. They're probably going to want their profits. They have to buy back and push it higher, and we'll just jump in the bullish side and ride it higher with them. This one's interesting. I mean, at least on a daily perspective, you have a little double bottom, potential higher low. We need one more higher high to confirm that we're starting to reverse this and get into an uptrend. Volume wise, there's nothing really volume wise. There's a little bit here, there's a tiny bit that could hold us. Otherwise, probably looking for like a 465, get you a better entry, and then real volume comes in at $4, one penny. We are still below all moving averages. This does look a little bit different though. They did have earnings. I don't know how many eyeballs are on this one, but earnings per share not bad. You came in with a 33% beat, and then you also beat 33% on the revenue side of things by 18 million. It's not bad. Yeah, at least have some good news. I think this one probably gets caught up. We do have just an absolute beast of a short. We do have some levels below us that I think probably a better spot. But look for resistance all the way up to like $5.69. If we start breaking that, then we do have a case that we could get to like 5.96. But still, even with the earnings, even with the good news, the daily chart may be interesting for some kind of a swing. But my entry, even at that point, would be somewhere around the 577, get above this little consolidation. Yeah, we should probably look at Intel. That's a good call on that one. INTC, just absolutely. This might be a good fade call. We'll see. We'll see. I said before, this is about a year ago, maybe 18 months ago, somewhere in that zone. I forget when. But I was like, and we got all the way down to like this $24 range. And I was like, I like it anywhere under $25. And I did not buy here because I bought something else that looked appealing, whatever it might have been, I forget, during those months for the long term, just because I'm pretty much buy on a schedule. But now I'm here where the question is, and I think it's got a lot of questions. They're getting their butt whooped, and I thought I missed this trade. I was like, oh man, I guess I wasn't able to. I do have shares at like 40 still, so I'm still in this thing. I'm still bag holding. I don't think Intel goes anywhere, but they're getting absolutely wrecked by the likes of Nvidia, AMD. They've been on a struggle bus. This has got to be a turnaround story. Turnaround stories are tough. The trend on this one's absolutely rough. Valuation standpoint, I don't think they go out of business. I think they're still a $100 billion company. So as a long-term investor, probably not today. It's not going to be the day to do it. But this could be a fade opportunity where everybody who's in this thing short looks like they are making some money. It's starting to get to a very interesting, at least, valuation stance, but the earnings were just horrible. I mean, they were. You can't miss on Intel, a company that has just some rough perspective right now. They miss also coming after a pretty big bear day, and now you have another gap down. So might be a rough day for them. I can't short it here; it's way too low. But for a long-term perspective, it's now put itself on the list. So we'll see what I'm going to buy this month. Otherwise, everybody on YouTube land, I appreciate you joining us. But that was the morning bell. Be safe out there. It's okay. It's a red day. That's allowed to happen. That can happen. But you guys are awesome. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow.